On this week's episode, we get a peek at what's to come for Miss Marvel. What will Amazon do with MGM? And is it time to stop sharing your Netflix password? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break, Vampires, and Vitae. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do whatever you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, because we are the number one, not the number two, not the number three, not the number four, but we're the number one tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook, where we have dozens of games every single month that you can catch on video, including Vampires and Vitae, the Demolition Force, the great stuff that our good friend Mitch does every single weekend, and more. You can catch it out there at Facebook at Pop Culture Cosmos. Plus, we are the place to go for the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every day, right there at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. Plus, if you can support all that, popculturecosmos.com and all the great things that we do, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. She has endured my craziness for the past couple weeks. And she's also the mastermind, along with her husband, Robbie Ross, of Vampires and Vitae. You got to check out what she's doing today at Vampires and Vitae, wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you want to catch the video version, you can catch it at Vampires and Vitae and Pop Culture Cosmos. It is my good friend. It is Mrs. Melinda Barkhouse Ross. And Melinda, great to have you back. Still don't know how you tolerate me, but I'm just...
I mean, it's challenging sometimes, Gerald, but...
I know, right? But I am just so happy to have you here nonetheless.
Happy to be here, buddy. Happy to be here.
Wait, what's that sound I hear? Almost smells like smoke. Like a fire.
Oh,
like
no.
a dumpster fire. You know what I think that is?
It's not the last episode of Vampires and Vitae.
No. That was actually good. That's actually a good dumpster fire. No. This is my annual dumpster fire known as my NCAA March Madness tournament bracket burning up in flames.
Is it already gone?
It's already gone, and it's not even the first day has done yet. So that's how scary it is.
Bro.
Yes.
I should have done one. I could have done better.
Yes. You picking randomly could have done better. I could have done better. The people out there that are just picking by animals or mascots could have done better.
That's who wins games, mascots, obviously.
Absolutely. So it's scary. And all the people in Las Vegas right here in our beautiful city that we're in, they're tearing up tickets and screaming as far as the upsets are concerned. So although maybe there's some out there that got some big money on some upsets, but my gosh, if you are trying to pick a winner all the way this year, it's going to be very difficult indeed. Oh, well. Better luck next year, I guess.
It'll be okay.
Yes. Well, I usually do the David Caruso with a walking away from a car blowing up. That's what I usually... But I thought, you know what? Let's stick to the dumpster fire instead this year.
Yeah. Dumpster fire is very visceral. You immediately understand what's happening, and none of it is good. So
yes.
Yeah.
And none of it is good indeed. But we do have something that's good. And that's for today's program, because we got a lot of good stuff to talk about, including Amazon finally closing out its $8.5 billion deal for MGM. We're going to talk about some of the IPs that they got in. Obviously, the big ticket there is James Bond, but comparing it to some other big name purchases, we're going to talk about, is this a bargain? Or is this something that's going to be very hard for Amazon to go ahead and get a profit on? We'll be talking about that on the back end of the show. The only real wide release right now that came out this weekend is X. And that's something we don't usually talk about on a family friendly show. That is, that what we have here. But I will talk about a little bit about X and how this horror movie, based off an adult movie scenario, is capturing the attention from critics in a positive way. And we'll talk about that on the back end of the show. There's a new TV series on HBO and HBO Max called DMZ, based off of a DC comic book. We'll talk about if that's going to be worth your time. We'll talk about, for all you Harry Potter fans, Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy, because that gave us a 15-minute look earlier today. And we'll talk about if this game coming out in holiday 2022 is going to be right for you as a Harry Potter fan. Plus, a little tidbit I heard from Harry Potter himself, Daniel
Oh
Radcliffe.
man.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, about his possible future or not possible future going forward. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Plus, state of play, which Hogwarts Legacy was. We're going to talk about the most recent ID at Xbox versus the state of plays that have happened over the past couple weeks. We'll talk about this PlayStation versus Xbox battle. What cool games have come out from each? And is this something really worth your time to go out of your way and watch? We'll talk about that coming up on the show as well. But first, my friend, you talked about it. You already commented on it on the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page. And that is the Ms. Marvel trailer,
Yes.
which came out earlier this week for the show that's coming out, I believe, in July, if memory serves me correct. That it's coming out in July, this series on Disney Plus, after what we're going to be seeing with Moon Knight. Then we're going to be seeing Kenobi. There is going to be a period of time when Kenobi and Ms. Marvel interlaps, as far as one running concurrently with the other in the same week,
Right.
which I think ultimately Disney Plus, if it wants to get to that plateau it needs to get to, or it wants to get to, needs to do.
Agreed.
I mean, that would be awesome to have a Marvel show on a Tuesday and a Star Wars show on a Thursday, or vice versa, or
Yeah.
whatever. How it's two days a week. You could actually know you have to be watching Disney Plus.
Yep.
So I want to hear your thoughts. Ms. Marvel, it debuted. It shows the lifestyle of what's going on with the New Jersey 13-year-old young lady, who gains access to some powers. Maybe it's through the Kree armbands. They're kind of vague on how she gets the powers yet. You obviously have to watch the TV series and find out exactly how it is. It looks like it's going to be different from what her comic book origin on her powers, how she got them. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Not only the fact of how does it look to you, because you already commented on it,
Yes.
like I said, but also as well, I want you to comment on the very brilliant strategy that Disney has in the same week, debuting a fantastic movie, Turning Red, targeted at young teen ladies,
Yes.
and now a TV show from the Marvel Group doing that same thing as well.
That might have been. Wow. You almost want to say that it's a little bit too good to not be coincidental. I mean, with somebody that had that much forethought, did somebody really plan to make that happen on purpose? Is that really
Well, this
what
is something
happened?
I've talked about with Josh about for a
Yeah.
while when it comes to Star Wars and Marvel. It's long-term planning. I mean, they've
Yes.
got us hooked.
Yes.
You at the age of 18 and me at the age of 500, and they've got our age groups down already.
Right.
It's getting that base,
Yes.
young base, going forward so that they will become the next hardcore fans. And it's not just boys or guys that they're going after. They're going after a group and a target base that has really never been approached in this fashion before in pop culture, outside of the BTSs and the K-pops and the things of that nature. They're
Yeah.
starting to understand with the huge success of K-pop. And let me just give you an example of that. The BTS movie that came out in limited release and that live release to certain theaters across the world,
Yes.
that sold out everywhere and did a huge amount of business for BTS. seeing that kind of power, that spending power, and that viewing power that they have, seeing that age group of young ladies that will hopefully be entertained by your product going forward. I think it's beautiful what Disney Plus is doing. I really think it hits a very, I think it hits a target market that really very few entities have ever tried to reach.
Well, I think that they've been trying to reach them for a minute, but the thing about that particular age group
But
having
with what? I mean, are we talking
having
about the
to
same
well,
cartoons, the same
yeah,
animated features, the
it
same
doesn't
storylines?
matter it doesn't matter if you're talking music, it doesn't matter if you're talking makeup, My My Little Pony, whatever the case is, whatever it is that you're trying to market towards them, um, you really need to be smart about it because there is nothing that I can think of that is more fickle than a 13-year-old girl,
And I agree. I believe me,
right?
as one who has a 14 and 16-year-old,
Yeah.
I know this all too well.
Yeah,
But I'm
so
just saying it's so smart of them to go for this market.
oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying that, like, once you have them hooked, you can't let off the gas. It's not time to relax after that. Once you have them hooked, it's almost like in when musicians coming from my radio background, when musicians release their debut single, the smart people release the second best song on the album first
Hmm.
because you want to release that first record, you want it to enjoy a bit of success, and then you want to hit them with the big one that's going to push it over the top and it's going to get everybody to go out and buy the album, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that this is kind of a little bit of what we're starting to see when they're coming after that particular demographic. They're hooking them with these movies and this new TV show that's coming out, and it's going to be successful. Absolutely. Because who doesn't like to see themselves represented in a TV show?
Well, but
But
also got to remember. Oh, let me go ahead and finish. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. But it's going to be what's coming after that. What's the next thing after Turning Red? What's the next thing after Miss Marvel? And is that going to be enough to keep that very fickle, very small demographic happy? That's all that I'm saying about it. I'm thrilled that it's happening. I couldn't be more happy. But they have got to be careful with how they approach it.
This the thing is they're doing this in a different fashion, which I love so well. Yes, there's again you could tell me Netflix has done the great thing with the series that they had To All the Boys I Loved Before starring Lana Condor. That was a huge success. And
Massive.
those type of movies, those type of series have always done well with the young ladies in that age bracket. But to
Yes.
do something different, like create a whole animated feature that's targeting that audience,
Yes.
not just a movie that, how should I say, is playing to a younger audience than the teenagers, but not playing to an audience that's older than the teenagers, playing an audience that's directly aimed at those teenagers, like Turning Red was brilliant. And on top of that, a Marvel series devoted to that young group right there with Kamala Khan.
Yep.
She's a Muslim superhero for the first time that we're seeing. It shows not only what her daily life is, but again how she gets those powers. It's a really good, strong look, and I really hope that people get a chance if they haven't already to see it. And the link is available on our Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page. But the fact that they're developing a Marvel series that's targeting that young female
Yes.
audience, it's absolutely brilliant move as we head into a possible Young Avengers. I mean, it's very much of a smokescreen that we're all seeing right now that they all want to do that Disney wants to do and Marvel wants to do a Young Avengers at some point in time down the road, because they wouldn't have all these young
Yeah.
developing or origin stories for these young stars, these superstars, these superheroes, unless they were having an end game with it. And I'm not talking about Avengers Endgame. I'm talking about a young Avengers. So I absolutely think that Disney is just seeing this marketplace for what it is. And with pop culture in the past, it's always target the boys, target the young guys, target the boys, so that as they grow up into men and whatnot, they'll always support us. They're saying that we've got their attention.
Yes.
We need to get the attention of the ladies as well and give them the attention that they duly deserve, that they rightfully deserve all this time, and that they're targeting them. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if down the road we see something from Star Wars that fits more into that team. Daisy Ridley, I think, was that kind of that reach out. it per
Yes.
se, as far as
Yeah, and it worked. Look at how many little girls were dressed up, for Halloween that year.
yeah, that at
So,
least that first year when Star Wars: The Force Awakens reached $2 billion, it wasn't. They just were not able to sustain it, which is
yeah.
unfortunate. But I have a feeling that eventually they will go back to it. And my gosh, who doesn't love Baby Grogu? And that's catering to all different
Yes.
various ages. But with what we're seeing with Miss Marvel, which what we're seeing with Turning Red, it was just truly outstanding. But before we head to the break, I want you to go ahead and share all your thoughts that you can on Miss Marvel, your thoughts on this trailer, and what you're expecting or hoping from the series going forward when it comes out later this year.
Absolutely. So I picked up and shame on me for not
Shame
keeping
on
up.
you.
I know, shame on me for not keeping up with the comic series
Mm-hmm.
because the comics are really good. If you have, somebody in that age group in your life, go and get a couple of editions of the comic and give that to them and
Yeah.
see if you get any kind of reaction from it. I'm willing to bet that you probably will because it's a really well done comic. I really enjoyed it. Fell off because I was following the Wicked and the Divine a lot closer, and they had like 3 alternate covers every release. So release day got quite expensive in my house. But
I
anyway,
would imagine.
yeah. So, but yes, I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled. And I'm very, very happy that, these young girls who are coming up in a arguably, and I feel like every generation says it, arguably a bit more of a complicated time than what we came up through, like with all of the social media and the cyberbullying and all of that kind of stuff. So, it's time to heap loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of positive people who represent them on screens and
Yeah.
let them see them and let them see that and let them take that and really own being a fan of this kind of media. And I'm so thrilled and I'm so envious. I
Were
grew
there
up.
any parts of it that you really liked because it shows her high school life, it shows her partying, shows her having a crush, shows
Yeah.
her also as well gaining this power
Yeah.
that ultimately could be very beneficial. Again, it is differing from what you understand and what have come to know for anyone out there from the comic book.
Yeah.
I think that in this case it's a good move because of the fact that they're trying to approach in a different fashion as she was just a normal kid
Right.
who through some circumstance gains the power that gives her ultimately what she can do to become a superhero. I think again it has to do a lot with the Kree. I think they're Kree wristbands that she finds or acquires at some point in time in the series that is shown off in the trailer. That really is the source of what she's capable of. But of course, they'll detail it more in the series. But yeah, I am looking forward to this. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. You obviously have already just reaped some very high praise on it already. And
Yeah.
again, the smart targeting by Disney and Marvel for doing this to a demographic of potential fans. We see in the show, we see in the trailer that Kamala Khan, before she gains these powers, is this Avengers super fan. She's
Yeah.
wearing the T-shirt of the
Yeah.
different female Avengers, which it was really cool and whatnot. And everybody was teasing her on for bullying or whatnot. Now these days, if you went to high school or whatnot and you have that, you just think everybody thinks you're cool and that they have no problem with it. So it's
Yeah.
kind of funny how that is, but just seeing her in that environment and seeing her with all the Avenger stuff going on, I'm seeing right now, or I'm going to sense right now, that a lot of other young ladies her age are going to be wearing or going to be free to wear, whatever Avengers merchandise they feel like going forward. And I think that's a good thing, obviously, for Marvel and Disney for the back up the dollars,
For
back up
those
the Brinks truck.
dollars.
But
Yeah. Not so good for mom and dad's paybook or paycheck
no, no,
or
but I think it was a very wise decision.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I know you are too. It is coming out June 8th. Just want to let everybody know. So, not July. It's actually coming out June 8th to Disney Plus. So, it will overlap Kenobi. So, it will be something that would be great because you'll have Kenobi, Ms. Marvel. Kenobi, at least for a couple weeks, you'll have Kenobi and Miss Marvel. So
Yeah.
that's something definitely to look forward to. That's the way you do it, Disney. That's the way.
No more of
But
this 6-week long black
yeah,
hole concept.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So this is the way. to throw in that Mandalorian thing out there
Mhm.
while she's ready to spit up her tea right there. But once again, it is Miss Marvel. The trailer is available on Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. But what are your thoughts on Miss Marvel? Please let us know. Are you excited to go ahead and see this upcoming series based off of this just brave young lady who acquires these strange powers that's going to be available on June the 8th, starting June the 8th on Disney Plus? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, there's still more to talk about on today's program. Wanted to ask your thoughts on this PlayStation versus Xbox yet again, but in a different fashion. And the reason why I say
Uh-huh.
that, well, in the past couple weeks, PlayStation has not only had one, but two state of plays. The second state of play, which dropped earlier today, was basically a 15-minute long commercial for Hogwarts Legacy, which is coming up at the end of at the end of this year, holiday season,
Right.
2022. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. ID at Xbox and the state of play that took place last week, and the ID at Xbox that took place this week, they were showcases for some upcoming games, DLC, smaller stuff from both of these companies that are coming via third party or independent studios. Sometimes they're DLC, like Returnal has a nice co-op DLC for those that are waiting for it on the PS5. There's also some stuff that are coming out for ID at Xbox as far as some really cool independent games. Just really kind of interesting stuff going there. They did get to show off Tunic, which to me right now is going to be a really cool game to follow, especially if you're into Zelda games. This is a very upfront Zelda clone, and it is really getting some high scores. So people need to take note of Tunic as it comes out very, very soon. That's going to be coming out. Actually, it's available right now as we speak. It just came out, so it's on the Xbox One and also the Xbox X and S. So please check out that. There were some other great things at the PlayStation event, the state of play, that I want to ask you on as a PlayStation owner.
Yes.
TMNT, the Cowabunga collection. I know you're excited about that. That's coming out sometime this year. That's going to showcase some stuff as far as old games from the past, spruced up into a new fashion. Even one from the original Game Boy itself. As far
Wow.
as that's how far back they're going. So,
Mm.
your thoughts on the TMNT game, the Cowabunga collection that is coming to PlayStation? Your thoughts on it when it comes out sometime later this year?
You know, I I kind of a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
about 6 months ago, I lost interest in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I
Really?
don't wanna say it was a long time ago. It was
Yeah, I
about
was gonna say that's a long time ago.
But yeah, no, this is one that, that's gonna be probably be I'm gonna use the word hard pass here, but I just don't I can't see myself picking it up,
Okay.
to be completely honest. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are great. I'm just not, I'm not that kind of a video game player.
Well, it's a beat 'em up type game. Those are usually the styles for the
Yeah,
TMNT. Usually
sure.
multiplayers. A lot of times couch co-op, multiplayer beat 'em ups. So
Yeah,
for people that are interested in that mix, I think a lot of people will be going ahead and venturing into it, or at least giving a try as this collection of games from the past in a new spruced up way comes to the PlayStation. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R was also something that was intriguing to me from the PlayStation State of Play last week. The
that does
reason
sound interesting.
why, yeah, because it was a nice, different style of fighting game.
Mhm.
Cell shaded action, really intriguing. I, there's not enough fighting games that are out there, and I know PlayStation now owns the Evo Sports Tournament, which happens to take place here in Las Vegas
Just
each and
happened.
every year. Yeah, exactly.
Ye
Imagine that. So no Nintendo, no Super Smash Brothers, no Xbox, no Killer Instinct there. It'll be all PlayStation related stuff as far as fighting games are concerned. But this is something I think people need to go ahead and take a look at because I think it's got a different style and in a year that may not have that many entries in the fighting game,
Right.
this could be something that's really worth looking into. Again, Returnal is going to have a free update that's going to give you the chance and opportunity to go ahead through co-op. I also want to talk about two more games, and I'll close out the half hour with ID at Xbox. I want to go ahead and talk about Ghostwire Tokyo, which is coming out very soon. Again, this is a PlayStation exclusive. It's a timed exclusive that I spoke about with TJ Johnson last month in regards to what if Tokyo had gotten taken over by some evil force and all of its inhabitants were transformed into these weird creatures, and you have to battle all of them in order to go ahead and try and do whatever you can to save them ultimately, and try and undo what has been done. I think that's something that again they're pointing towards to as a nice exclusive from the folks at Bethesda, which we now know is an Xbox company now, but
Hmm.
this was done under the agreement that it's got to be a PlayStation exclusive for now. So I think that's something people need to look at. But the last thing I want to touch on was showcased at PlayStation's State of Play
Uh-huh.
and the next week at ID at Xbox. And that was Trek to Yomi.
Okay.
I want you to take a look at this as far as this fighting game. This is something from Devolver Digital that could be one of their best games ever. I mean, if you are
Okay.
into Ghost of Tsushima, and it has that type of feel as far as the samurais and that old feel of like those old samurai movies from the past, that black and white feel,
Right.
because it is actually a black and white video game
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
with the
And
whole film grain and the whole nine yards.
oh,
It is,
wow.
and it was showcased, like I said, at both the State of Play and the ID at Xbox. And I hope people get a chance to look at this. It is not quite as large or in depth, or even the modeling done in such a superior fashion like Ghost of Tsushima, which won a tremendous amount of praise and awards when it came out. This is something that's done by a smaller studio. It's more of a linear 2D type of game, but the look and the feel of it and the cutscenes are truly outstanding. And again, it's done in a old 1950s Akira Kurosawa type deal as far as the whole black and white imaging. I thought it's great, and we don't get enough games that are done in black and white. I think it's a really novel idea. I think people should check it out.
Yeah, it's definitely one that's going to help them stand out from the crowd of, the thousands of video games that are out there. So that's really cool. That's really interesting. I hope the game does well. I hope they get rewarded for thinking outside of the box for sure.
Absolutely. But with
Yeah.
ID at Xbox, again, that was showcased on both. With ID at Xbox, I also want to go ahead and mention that they did talk about some other smaller games, including, like I said, Tunic, which is available now, which I think people really need to get into, especially if they're into Zelda games. WrestleQuest, which still doesn't have a release date. They showcased it at this event. It's so funny because it does feature some stars or likenesses of some stars like Jake the Snake Roberts, Randy Savage, and also as well Andre the Giant. But
Right.
it's done in a how should I say? It's done in an 8-bit fashion with an 8-bit look, but it's
Okay.
also the way you play it is done like a Final Fantasy type format, which your battles in the ring are done in a manner similar to what you were playing, like as far as a strategy game, as far as a real time strategy game, as far as the
Interesting.
way, yeah. So it's really interesting the way that they threw this out as far as your matches are concerned. It's also got part simulator where you're going ahead and targeting your career and where you want to go and who you want to face. But yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay. So
all
that's like when you play the NHL games and you can start like in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League in Canada, and then you can follow your progression to getting yourself into the NHL,
that's
and then
correct.
you
But
go
when you get
eventually.
into the ring,
Yeah.
it's done in a format similar to the way you would have it set up as a Final Fantasy, where it's you got the three character, let's say one, two, or three characters on one side, you've got
All
one,
right.
two, or three characters on the other side of the ring, and you're just waiting for your turn. Real time strategy, so you got to wait, make the right roll. You get the right roll, and there's enough hit points taken off the guy, vice versa, until you get to the point where you could do a special move and things of that nature. So it's very interesting until you get to the point where you either get pinned or you make the pin on for the victory. So it's very interesting to see how they set this up.
Hmm.
It again is done by a smaller studio, so they don't get the luxury of making it like the WWE 2K22, which just came
Right.
out with all the bells and whistles. They obviously had to go ahead and be inventive and be creative, and I think they did just that.
Yeah, look what happens when you don't have all of the money in the world
Yeah.
to put into a game, you know? You have to think outside of the box and rework some strategies and you know, cherry pick from some of your favorite games and try to make that work for the game you're designing. I think that's great. Good for them.
But it's interesting the way that they approach both of these companies in PlayStation and Microsoft. They approach these state of plays, these ID at Xbox events, these basically their own little mini E3 presentations during the course of the year.
Right.
When it comes to ID at Xbox, it's always talking about, or almost always talking about, smaller games, independent games that they have agreements with. These games that have maybe a little bit more outside the box. I mean, there's a game that was debuted on ID at Xbox that was really kind of funny. Just the way that they approached it, Curse to Golf, where you're trapped in this world where you got to go ahead and it's like a golf purgatory with power ups. It's almost done like a 2D type format, but you're dealing with a lot of golf elements and just really kind of again like WrestleQuest, really outside the box in the way that you want to go ahead and play it. That to me is kind of cool because of the fact that again it's outside the box. They're mostly independent games. With state of play, it's more familiar. It's more larger entities, third party agreements with larger name companies for the most part. A lot of them Japanese based, but some of them as well that are also familiar DLCs and things of that nature that you're already games that you're already familiar with that are coming out with DLCs, larger entities. So it's interesting to see the approach that these two have with these type of events.
Yeah, it's really neat. Yeah. I'm always interested in what the big guys are up to, but you know, those two games that you mentioned are great examples of the innovation that could come from some of those smaller companies. So slide them some bucks, would you?
Slide them some bucks indeed,
Slide
but
them some bucks.
I don't want to be cursed to golf while I'm going on a WrestleQuest. I'll just say that.
Fair enough.
But if you have thoughts on the most recent state of plays and the ID at Xbox event on which games you're thinking about buying, please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Give us a shout out at PopCultureCosmos or Vampires and Vitae, because Melinda sees all when it comes to Vampires and Vitae. So give her a shout
Yeah.
out as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate it so much. But when we return, we're going to be talking about a lot more things on the back end of the show, including Amazon now has officially bought the Lion from
Yeah.
MGM. Well, I don't know if they bought the Lion per se, but they bought all the stuff that went with the Lion from MGM.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't
Plus,
know I don't think that line is still around.
no,
That
no, no,
particular
no.
chap.
Rest in peace, Lion. But also as
Absolutely.
well, we're going to be talking about some good things, including Hogwarts Legacy, DMZ, X, and I see you, Melinda, sharing that Netflix password. Can't do that anymore. And we'll tell you why at the back end of the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the show. It's the PCC Multiverse. It's Miss Melinda Barkhouse Ross and me, Gerald Glassford. Just want to let you know we are the #1 tabletop RPG streamer on Facebook. You got to check out all the great videos, and there are a lot of great videos. Facebook has not taken all of them yet. It
Yeah,
took
not yet.
years of them.
Mm,
That was a dark day when they took out like 3 years of
yeah.
videos off of
Right.
the Facebook.
All my work.
Yes, well, I only have some on my hard drive. I only got about 100 of them,
Oh,
but
dear.
you know what? There's still a lot more there. There's still over 100 there that they didn't take down. So
Fair enough.
yeah, and it's not because of content. It's just because I was filling up so much of their hard drive space. So that's all the reason why. But if you want to check out hundreds and hundreds of hours still available to you, you could go ahead and check out the videos page at the Facebook at Pop Culture Cosmos. And I'll tell you what, there's so much more to talk about on today's program. I wanted to ask you this first off.
Okay.
Speaking of state of play, like we just talked about before the half hour break,
Yeah.
state of play just dropped today, and a full 15-minute presentation, commercial, advertisement, pre-order interest thing, whatever
Yeah.
you want to say.
Hype video. Yeah.
Yeah, hype video is probably the best thing
Okay.
for Hogwarts Legacy coming out
Yes.
in the holiday season 2022, which means they actually still don't have a clue yet on when they want to release it during the holiday, but
Right.
they showcased it, and it shows about the customization of your character. You do go to Hogwarts. You do become part of one of the different classes you can choose if you want to be a Slytherin or if you want to be any one of the
Wait,
other.
you can choose? You don't
You
just
can
choose
choose.
your house. You either are or you are not.
I think you can choose. It's the way they were phrasing it, or maybe they were selected. I think it was. I think it was choose. The way it was worded was choose, but
Your character should have to sit down in the chair and sit under the
you know what?
sorting
That's
hat.
probably the decisions you make
Yeah.
as you're customizing your character, or when you initially go through the initiation of it, will
Yeah.
ultimately decide which house you're going. That's probably how
See?
they do it. So
Yeah,
in a
that's
way, you choose
yeah.
by your decisions,
Right.
but in a way, you don't choose. But you know it. But you get to
Sorry, Jeff.
be in one of the four different classes.
By the way, which house is your house?
Yes, which house is my house?
Yeah, which who do you belong to?
Well, you're talking to the one individual in the Glassford household that is not a huge Harry Potter fan, but I would say it's Slytherin. Uh,
Really?
yeah. Which
Huh.
one? Which one you are?
I am a Hufflepuff.
I like Hufflepuff too. You know what? I like how Slytherin's kind of evilish, kind of. You know what? I feel like when I'm in a kind of weird mood or kind of mood that I guess like a little mischievous, maybe Slytherin. But you know what? For the most part, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. I think I'll go with Hufflepuff. There
Yeah,
you go.
I'm Hufflepuff. Yeah. Me and
Okay.
me and the Rock, both Hufflepuff.
There you go. I think I'll go. Who will doubt the rocks? So you know what? Okay, I'm a late comer to the Hufflepuff train. There you
Welcome
go.
in, friend. Welcome
There
in.
you go. There you go. Got to go get me some Hufflepuff socks. But I will say that it showcased again after you pick and select which house you're going to be part of. It does show you as far as you learning the magical arts, you learning how to use your wand, and then of course it tells you the mysteries of what is what evil force is bringing out the dark side of whatever magic that is laid dormant for so many years as you start to go ahead and investigate it and see what's going on throughout the Hogwarts castle. Plus, also when you venture outside of the Hogwarts castle and go, whether it's either down in some caves or out in the open, of course, you're going to venture and face off against some evil monsters, which you have to
Right.
go ahead and try to ensnare, or capture, or destroy based off your wand skills. And it
Right.
showed the combat, which was about as well as you can expect. I mean, this is nothing that's going to be grandiose compared to some other games because you are just, in essence, waving a wand.
Right.
Magic is coming out of it, of course, and whatnot. But it shows, it encompasses that as far as the full lifestyle of you growing up as a young individual in this house, and then growing up as a young individual and developing into a full blown wizard in Hogwarts. So I want to hear your thoughts. It's going to have, I believe, possibly some elements of a multiplayer, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I do know it's going to be something that's going to be it's going to be an adventure that I think a lot of Harry Potter fans will like to make. Is this something that an adventure that sounds like you might be making when it comes out this holiday?
I'm I'm gonna put this on my maybe list because yeah, I know which house I belong to, but I'm not a super huge Harry Potter fan.
To be
But
honest with you, it looks kind of like in the same fashion or the same level of polish and the same level of look and maybe experience that I would be seeing from Star Trek Resurgence, which just came out last week, as
okay.
far as some videos that were there. It's like it looks like a okay
Right.
video game, but it's not going to be at a level which is going to knock your socks off, but it's got that IP that's really got you interested.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be interesting to see if any of the controversy from J.K. Rowling is going to affect sales of the video game at all.
That woman just cannot stop talking. I'm telling you,
No. Yeah.
just can't leave a good thing alone. But
Just
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
That's who she is. That's who she is.
Yep.
She thinks, this, whatever your thoughts on it, that's your thoughts. But I'm just like, my gosh, it's there's a golden goose philosophy right there that I would attain to. So, but that's just me. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, but it'll just be interesting to see if Harry Potter fans will decide to look past that to get a hold of a video game or,
And
what's
thanks
eventually
for
gonna happen
those
there.
developers that work so hard on a game like
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. Yeah.
I
Be
think
interesting.
ultimately we'll
Mhm.
see what happens. I think ultimately that there will be enough people that will be interested in it. But again, it could be the same situation that we're seeing with other Harry Potter related things that are going on that we're not sure if people are going to follow because, like you said, that controversy that follows it. I mean, got a movie coming out in the Harry Potter realm. We're not sure that is going to be accepted by the fans out there because look what happened to previous
Right.
Harry Potter related movie that came out and that bombed. Or I don't want to say it bombed, but it underperformed. I think was probably the best way to say it. And really wasn't a very good movie. And
Yeah, underperformed, I think, is a little it's a friendlier way to put it.
yeah, it's a friendlier way to put it. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens with Hogwarts Legacy. But the thing I wanted to go ahead and hit you up with this before we head to another subject, and that is with Hogwarts and Harry Potter and all the stuff going on. We there was interview. There was an interview just took place with Daniel Radcliffe, who is Harry
Okay.
Potter himself, as everyone knows
Yes.
out there. The thing that is on everybody's minds is with Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which is the play that J.K. Rowling's had some influence in as far as this part where it's Harry Potter and the whole nine yards coming out of retirement per se to battle evil forces once again. I still like the concept of him hopping out of the minivan with the wand and that whole con-
Absolutely.
I still have that picture of that as myself. If I excuse me, if I was Chris Columbus making that movie, I would have him just like hopping out of the minivan after soccer practice, ready to go ahead and whip out the wand to destroy evil
Yeah.
forces.
Either
And
that
say,
or
practice is at 7.
yeah. Either that or, like, out of a Tesla or a one of those little tiny Chevy Volts or
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
something like
Yes.
that, that would be great.
Zero emissions.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly, yeah. Very
Yeah,
responsible Harry Potter.
absolutely. Coming out of there, ready to go ahead and do battle. But I really, all jokes aside, I really think that would be still a good concept that I think even with the J.K. Rowling's controversy aside, I still think that is the real big ticket for Warner Brothers yet to come. But he just made comments stating that he is not interested in doing it now. But he said, never say never.
Right. Yeah.
Is
And,
that is that code for what we say here on the show? Back up the Brinks truck.
you know what? It really could be. It really could be
Oh, what's that
because
sound? I think it's the Brinks truck backing up right now as we speak
yeah.
to Daniel Radcliffe's house.
Ooh, yeah. I mean,
Emma
maybe
Watson, she's gonna get some. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
yeah,
They're backing up to her house too.
there just might be, enough money in the back of that Brinks truck to bring the movie, 5 years quicker than Mr. Radcliffe expected,
I
for
just think
example.
that yeah, I think right now, even as someone who again who is not a hardcore Harry Potter fan, but has
Yeah.
watched all the movies
Yep.
or been encouraged by a family to watch all the movies and gone to the Universal Studios on both coasts here in the United States, did the
Yep.
whole thing.
Yep.
I I've been to it, enjoyed the experience. My family absolutely loves it. I'm just thinking that if we see the signs that with the upcoming movie, how should I say this properly? With the upcoming movie that's Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore, if that comes out and does at or same level of disappointment as the previous Fantastic Beasts, then I think Warner Brothers is going to get a little nervous because there's still more Fantastic Beasts supposedly still left to come. There's still like 2 or 3 more that they still have to do in the series. I think ultimately the signs are going to have to point to if they want to make the Harry Potter legend strong again, they're going to have to
Right.
do something in the realm of the Cursed Child and make that into a 2 or 3 movie set and bring Daniel Radcliffe back once again.
Yeah, I agree. I think without having Harry as that center point, there's not really a body to kind of rally around, really,
Yeah.
for fans.
I
And
think he and Emma are the only things that could overcome J.K. Rowling.
yeah, agreed. Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, secrets. The when you have the Fantastic Beasts, when you have Hogwarts Legacy, they'll all do levels of okay. I think
right.
going forward, but I really don't think you are going to see a surge in popularity in Harry Potter until you get a live action Cursed Child onto the screen. And I think that's just me saying it. I'm just seeing that. I'm seeing this from an outsider's perspective, per se,
Right.
because I see what the interest could be. I know there's a lot of pushback because of what J.K. Rowling has said in the past and continues to say. I just think at this point that if there's anything that would overcome that the people would be drawn into, I think it would be A Cursed Child with Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson coming back for one last go around, or like a trilogy or something like that.
Yeah, just don't make us wait as long as Patrick Stewart made us wait for more Picard.
He said never say never.
It's true, but 40 years from now, I don't know that I'm going to want to see more Harry Potter.
Well, he's got to have some gray. That's the
Horrifying.
thing.
Oh my god, I'm sorry that anybody had to sit through that.
That's okay. That's okay. Better than mine, old man. You know what can I say? Old, I'm getting old there myself. You know. But it is right now getting back to Hogwarts Legacy.
Yes.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I get the same vibes that I got last week with Star Trek Resurgence, and that it's a game that's more trying to have you bank on its IP than the actual
Of the
substance
game.
of its
Yeah.
game itself. Yeah, it's just I'm just kind of getting those vibes, but we'll wait and see. But if you want to check out Hogwarts Legacy, the actual video itself is available now on Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source on Facebook, and the game will be out later this year during the holiday of 2022. Hopefully, these days with video games getting delayed all the time, you never know. But
True story.
if yeah, exactly. But if you're interested in Hogwarts Legacy, or if you are interested in or sharing your thoughts on the future of Harry Potter and what could really connect audiences once again with the legacy of Harry Potter, are you thinking that Melinda and I are right about the only thing that might work is a return by Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson? Or do you think that there is something that they could reach into that would go ahead and get everybody excited about Harry Potter once again? Please share us your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, before we head on out, still a little bit more to talk about. And we're going to keep this as family friendly as we can about
Always.
this next subject.
Okay.
But X is the only wide release for this weekend in theaters here in the US. It's a story horror movie based around this shooting of a adult movie at this mysterious farmhouse in I don't forget the location, but it's this mysterious farmhouse in 1979. So I don't know if you adult film fans, you can say if you know what movies were like back then in 1979. All I can tell you is that I can tell you what cartoons I was watching back in 1979, and I'll leave it at that. So
Yeah.
the thing that I wasn't actually going to add it to the show, but I added it on late because I looked at Metacritic, and all of a sudden I see for a horror movie, it's actually getting good ratings. It's got a 78 on Metacritic, which is really good for a horror movie. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. I mean, this is something that I don't think a lot of people are going to see at the theaters. But this could be something that down the road on streaming and VOD could be something that horror movies really, horror movie fans really might want to go ahead and check out and see.
Yeah, I think this sounds like it's going to be a really good one for like you said, video on demand.
And by the way, the movie is actually rated R, so it's not going to be the rated
Right.
X type material.
Right. Yes, it's I'm not a huge horror movie fan. I have way too much of an active imagination when I'm trying to go to sleep. Causes me enough anxiety. I don't need to think about, something falling in the closet and believing there's now a murder in my closet. I don't need help with that. Like, I'm good there. But seeing a
I
horror
hope
movie,
Robbie is not listening to this conversation.
right?
Has
But no,
just so much ammunition there. You
there
can't even.
is.
Yeah.
There is. And he knows all of that, believe me.
Okay.
But no, there's something about a really good horror movie that even draws in, those people who may not go for the scare tactic all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, this sounds quirky. It sounds like it has a really bizarre backdrop to the movie. So
Old
that
mysterious farmhouse.
yeah, where
Let's
they're
go
shooting
set
in
up our adult movie there. There you go.
exactly. Yeah, it's like what was the was it
It's so perfectly safe.
an insurance commercial that was on TV and
The
it had
Texas Chainsaw, yeah, with a whole bunch of
with
chainsaws.
the
They're going to,
chainsaws hanging? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
and you had
imagining.
the you had the dumb teenagers running. Oh, let's hide in the garage with all the chainsaws.
Chainsaws, yeah. Exactly. Like,
They'll
never go in
never
the
find us
basement.
here.
Never go in the basement. Just
Then
don't
let's
ever
go to
do
the
that.
cemetery.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I this won't be one I see in theaters. If I do watch it, it will be at home in my comfy pants with all of the lights in the house on.
Fair enough indeed.
Yeah.
But is X going to be something that you're going to check out at the theaters? Please get your mind out of the gutter there. Okay. It's going to be a lot. It's probably going to be a lot less of what you're thinking it is going to be,
Yes.
and a
Yeah.
lot more of the blood and gore you're not sure you're ready to handle for. So that's sounding me like it's going to be a horror movie that I think a lot of people in the horror movie realm that love those horror movies really going to like, because it is getting very strong ratings for horror movies. So
Right.
please, if you get a chance to check out X now or in the future, please let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Before we head on out, a couple more things I want to go ahead and add on is DMZ. DMZ was just dropped on HBO and HBO Max. I wasn't really going to pay attention too much to this one with Rosario Dawson and Benjamin Bratt. It got mediocre reviews right now. I think it's sitting around a 50 on Metacritic, which is not too great. But the reason why I wanted to put it in here before we head on out was that it's a neopocalyptic into the somewhere in the sometime in the near future
Right.
where I guess war happens and people are civil war happens and people are put on different sides, and it's this one area that they have that they call the DMZ, the demilitarized zone that you have to deal with. But this is based off of a comic book from all places, DC, which totally threw me for a loop. So your thoughts on possibly checking out a series based off a comic book, which we see a lot these days. A lot of these series are based off of comic books because they found a lot of material now based off of comic books and
Right. Yeah.
graphic novels. But seeing something like this in DMZ,
Yeah. Rosario Dawson is attached to the project. I have all
yes,
the time in the world to watch her do her thing on the screen. I think that she's fantastic. I have enjoyed the majority of the projects that she has chosen to be part of. And I'll definitely give this one the 4 episode trial. We'll see how it
yes.
goes.
We all know here about the 4 episode trial that Melinda has. So
Yeah.
I want to hear your thoughts on that, Melinda, though. When you check out DMZ, I've got so
Definitely.
much on my plate trying to watch right now with Severance, both Star Treks, trying to see what's going on with Disney Plus, and
Oh,
oh my gosh,
oh
I don't know
no.
if I can handle
You have
another
to
show.
watch. You have to watch so much
Winning
TV.
Time on
Oh,
HBO. I
oh,
will try to
Sarah.
check. I
Oh,
will try. I will try to give it a
how
viewing
do you
of
make it
DMZ.
through a day? Oh,
Yes, how do I make it through a day? But my weekends are all tied up with all these shows. But I will
jeez.
say that if you get a chance, please check out DMC. And if you do, like Melinda, please share your thoughts. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Couple last things before we head on out. Amazon spent $8.5 billion. Just got approved. Just got all the clearance. Looks like everything's going to be A-OK as far as the $8.5 billion purchase of MGM. Not the lion per se, because like we said, we've already theorized that the lion's probably dead. But
Yeah.
the IPs that are under the MGM banner, obviously the main one that they want to get is the
Yeah.
James Bond IP, which we've already talked about on the show previously, but we'll talk about it again. Rocky, is also another one,
Okay.
which, I mean, if you're not counting the Creed movies, I'm not sure how much more you're going to be able to wring out of Rocky at this point.
Right.
I mean, there's other IPs there as well, and I'm well look it up while we're talking about it. But I mean, when you hear this and that a future for James Bond will be related to Amazon, what does that make you think when you hear about that?
Um, it tells me that I'm probably going to be able to watch all of the movies eventually on Amazon.
Mhm.
It tells me that, um, gee whiz, I don't know what else it tells me off of the bat, to be honest. I think that anything that is going to breathe a bit of extra life into Bond is something that I always kind of welcome. Um,
Okay.
ooh, they have the Legally Blonde stuff too. Maybe we're going to see some more Legally Blonde movies.
That would be a good realm. I think that would be a good way to go. I think that's a IP that you could find new life for.
Yeah,
I think Reese Witherspoon could or would or she would probably be delighted to get back into it. I think it's
yeah,
something that she could probably find a reason to get back into it.
yeah.
So that's
Ooh,
something.
they also have the GI Joe movies though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and well, but still, that those are the older GI Joe movies. And the
yeah,
thing is, I say that is because that Hasbro, I believe, has the film rights to its own properties now these days.
oh, okay. Because
Because the
yeah, that
last
would
one,
be
Snake Eyes was really done by them. Yes, they had a publisher to help put that out there with them as
right,
far as, but they are trying to push out all their properties. The Dungeons and Dragons movie, for instance, with
right.
Chris Pine, that's going to be coming out at some point. But
Yes.
yes, they're trying to push out all their entities under their own Hasbro banner as far as a studio is concerned, and then work with other film companies to just help them get it out there and distribute it. But I think that you're right. The old GI Joe movies would be something that I think that they could still utilize as filler for Amazon Prime, and that's something I talked about a long time ago. Is that I really was disappointed that all the money that Amazon was amassing in the mid to what 2010s, 2012, 13, 14, 15, and they had this Amazon Prime Video thing that they absolutely took no care in, and they had
Yeah,
all this old stuff and this just didn't have an array, didn't have any type of library that you would be proud of. At least for a company that could literally buy all this stuff in a snap and chose not to. So I
yeah,
mean, we talked about Disney buying in the past, Star Wars and Marvel for 4 billion apiece. They could have done that and then some, but they just never cared until now, until the recent times when they saw how Netflix does, when they saw all these other streaming wars seem to happen, and they were felt like they were left out. They now have a slate of shows and programs and movies and series that they can be proud of. And now I put them as a solid number two right now. I think with all the stuff that's going on, either it's number two or number three, whoever you want to talk about. But I really find them as one of the top tier streaming entities that's out there right now in streaming.
yeah. And to have bought, MGM, that's going to give them access to, my gosh, anything that they have greenlit, they haven't announced yet, in development. All of that stuff is now potentially, well, I guess not potentially, I guess will eventually show
I
up
mean,
on
Pink
Amazon.
Panther, Silence of the Lambs,
Yeah.
Clarice,
Yep.
Thelma and Louise. They're going to be jumping off the cliff once again in their car. I
Oh
mean, The
my goodness.
Handmaid's Tale, Survivor. My gosh, that's
They
TV
could
shows for
they
them.
could
They'll
flip
have the rights
Thelma
to
and Lou
that.
they could flip Thelma and Louise and have Brad Pitt and George Clooney go on a wild and crazy midlife crisis adventure. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be fun. That would get a lot of people. That's for sure. So I'm not going to dissuade that. I'm not. I know the ladies would love that. I mean, Brad Pitt's going to be in the Lost City here. He's going to what? I think he worked on it for 4 days, and I think he's probably going to get the most conversation about from that movie. I think that's coming up because everybody's talking about his cameo in that movie.
Right.
But I will say that it is very intriguing what Amazon can and will do going forward because there is a great many possibilities. There's not that outside of the James Bond one IP that they
Yeah.
really can go say, you know what, wow, we've got a gold mine waiting for us outside of James Bond, but they've got some IPs with potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a Disney or Star Wars purchase, because you got to remember they purchased MGM, I think, for about around the same price as the combined prices Disney paid for Marvel and Star Wars. So people got to put that in perspective. But
Sure, but now they're their own production house. Like that's
yeah,
huge.
yeah, and I'm just waiting to see what they'll do of it. But again, they've got a lot of IPs now under their belt. They now can go ahead and create some new ideas, or as we see in Hollywood, refurbish, clean up,
Right,
spruce up,
right.
and retread some ideas as we see. But I'm excited for it, especially when it comes to James Bond. Whoever who the new James Bond will be, I don't know, but we'll
Yeah.
see. We've had our thoughts on this, and we'll probably share them even more down the road. But what are your thoughts out there on Amazon buying MGM? Are you excited that your Amazon Prime membership will now have more MGM in your future? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. You've been fantastic as always, but I see you. I see you trying to share those passwords on Netflix. You and everybody out there with a membership. Netflix
Gerald,
has
I
made,
would never. That's against the rules, sir.
well, Netflix knows and has turned a blind eye for years, and they know you've been sharing your passwords. They see it when your password is in your household and that someone random like Uncle Joe has is using it on the other side of the universe.
Right.
They know you're sharing your password. They know
Yeah.
you're sharing your password. Well, they're about ready to go ahead and put the clamp down on it. And in some areas of the world, they've offered additional charges to do that privilege. This is something that they may institute going forward, making you pay more to share that privilege. Your thoughts on this before we head on out?
Okay. They had to do something, right? Because their subscription has kind of become a little bit stagnant. It's probably plateaued. You
They're
know,
about 220 million subscribers to get everybody know. And you're right. For the most part, it is got to plateau.
yeah,
So,
it has to, right?
yeah.
So and then you have the oh no, now my train of thought just up and left the station. Oh well.
Choo-choo.
What I was trying to say though was just that of course it makes sense because if you have 5 people sharing one account, that's 4 new subscriptions now that they're going to get because you're not sharing passwords anymore, sir.
And if they go to an additional charge, let's say that you don't have to get a full outright subscription. Let's
Right.
say you have to pay again, like they're offering some countries already, or that they will be offering some countries additional $3. Let's say they offer you to go ahead and share additional two,
2
three
screens or
dollars.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that seem unreasonable?
No, it seems totally reasonable.
Okay. I'm
You're
just
not supposed to
asking
be, well, yeah, you're not supposed to be sharing the passwords anyway.
because I'm an angel. I would never share my Netflix password.
Neither would I.
Halo. Halo.
Right. Yeah, there it is at the top of the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think it's they've threatened to do this before too, though, and nothing has ever come of it.
Hmm.
I
But I
feel
think they have the
that this
software
is
in place now
yeah,
that they can prevent you from doing that. And if that's the case, when they finally institute it, it's going to be a really dark day. I know a lot of people will be upset about that,
yeah,
even though you're not supposed to be doing it. But you know how we are as a society.
yeah.
When you have something for so long and you take it away, that's not going to make people happy. I mean, combined with this and a future without being able to share passwords for free, and with Disney Plus this week adding in all the Marvel Netflix shows and now offering a parental filter in
Right.
their subscription that you can go ahead and see a lot more content than you did before. Could this be, I'm not going to say it's a seismic change, but this put a dent into the streaming wars that we're now facing?
Well, when you're on top, you've got to do something to keep those numbers safe.
But will it turn away people? Will it turn off people?
you know what? It might for a couple of months, but they're going to come back to Netflix.
As soon as Stranger Things is back on the air.
Yeah, Stranger Things, or the next weird, Squid Games kind of show that we end up with that everybody is
The
talking about.
next rock movie that's
Yeah,
there.
because nobody wants to be left out of the water cooler chat at work or not know what everybody is talking about in the group chat. Nobody wants to be left out of that. And yeah, it's going to, people will be upset about it. They'll be like, grumble, 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 but it's $3 or $4 and people will get over it.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, like you said, when you're in this environment now where you're not tied down
Right.
by contracts like you were with cable so
Yes.
long ago, and now that you can go ahead and just basically, all right, I'm mad at you, Netflix. I'm going to cut you out.
Yep.
And then a couple months later, oh my gosh, Stranger Things, gotta go check it out.
Yep.
Sign back up.
Right. The new
It
season of
makes it,
Bridgerton is coming up soon. I got to get Netflix back.
yeah. So it
Yeah.
is something that I think a lot of people need to go ahead and come to realize that yes, you might be angry about not being able to share the passwords for Netflix now, but
Naughty, naughty.
yeah, naughty, naughty. But you know what? Even if you get mad and protest and say you're going to discontinue Netflix, whatnot, you'll probably come back.
Yeah.
You'll probably come back. Or hopefully they will go ahead and just offer people the additional $2 or $3 charge to do it. That I think would be a great alternative. But this is Netflix, so we'll wait and see. But they are now in the process of going ahead and trying to ensure that you cannot, outside of your household, share your password. You might still be able to now, but for how long or how much further, we're not sure because really they put out the feelers this week,
Right.
and that's all it takes.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts out there though on Netflix and you losing the right to share your password outside of your household? Oh, yeah, I said household. Outside of your household. Please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, now, my friend, it's been a great episode. You have been truly fantastic as always. Any last thoughts before you head on out? Maybe some little minis, perhaps?
Oh my gosh, yes, that's right. Okay, so I don't have minis when I play D&D. But I'm starting with a new group, and as we all kind of get more comfortable with, so playing solely in theater of the mind, I have my little grid and, some plexiglass over it that I can write on with a dry erase marker. But what I've been missing for a very long time is minis. So I was just using like dice or like other random things that I found in the kitchen, like wine corks or bottle caps or whatever. My aunt, God rest her soul, Auntie L, thank you so much for this. She left me these, and these little crystal figurines. Can you see that okay within my
They're so cute.
right? They have become my D&D minis. This is a beholder. This is a terrifying creature.
Oh, I believe you.
That's yeah, that's a
For
beholder.
everybody on audio, it's a mouse
Yeah,
with a
it's
toothpick.
yeah, wait. No, it's a spring. Look, it wags its tail.
Oh, it bounces. Okay.
Right? Look how cute that is. Look, I have
Terrifying, as
I
you
have
would
a
say.
I have a little koala. Look at that
Oh, that's
guy.
even cuter. I love
Look at that
koalas.
cute,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
I know, I can't even. So anyway, when people come to my house to play D&D, I have to excuse my bougie minis, but thank you, Auntie
I
L.
got the koala. I mean, it reminds me of Monopoly when you fight over exactly which character you're going to be.
Oh yeah, yeah. And there's I have them
I
kind of
got the race car.
yeah, I have them tucked away because they've been claimed by my players. But like, there's like a little chickadee that somebody who's playing an Aarakocra is using. It's we get pretty cheesy with it, but no, they're adorable, and you do what you got to do to get by in D&D these days.
That's true. That's true indeed. So for Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great